Yay, I finally made it here. Hello. I apologize if the mic makes some weird noises. I promise it's not intentional. It just does them out of nowhere. I don't get it, but I'm sorry. I'll try to get it. I'll try to get a better mic at some point. So I decided to do this first video just to explain a little bit of what this channel will be about, or what I had in mind at least. That could change whenever, but this is what I have in mind. So, where do I begin? So, my name is Vani. I guess you could have guessed that from the channel's name. But anyways, no surprise there. So, yes, I'm Vani and I'm in my 20s, in my roaring 20s. I would say they were actually roaring, but they're kind of not. Let's just say I'm in my 20s. And it turns out that me, Vani, wait, the grammar there is wrong. It turns out that I, Vani, am obsessed with music to a point where it's kind of a main part of my life, like one of the top priorities I usually have in mind. So in a way, I could say what most people end up just saying, which I believe to be true for myself. And for many people, I know that, but for myself, music saved my life. Like, I'll just put it that way. And music is the most important thing to me in life. Besides, of course, the love I have for the people I care about, the general stuff you usually have love for. But music is my fixation. Let's say it's a fixation. So, a little bit of background before I start to upload more videos on this channel. Just to give you an idea of what my history with music is. So, where did it begin? I think my first interest with music was when I started to play a keyboard my aunt got for me. I was in kindergarten and actually no, she didn't get it for me, but she bought it and it was just there at her home and I would just take it and play randomly. And the keyboard had some songs to practice on and I had so much fun just playing that keyboard. It was just amazing to me. I think that's my true beginning of my interest in music. Because I do remember before that, I was not interested in music much at all. I guess mostly because I was just hearing popular music and I was just it was just flattering to me. Like I didn't care much about the music I was hearing on the street, on the cars, whatever, on the radio. But with the keyboard, I started listening to some classical music, and it was just amazing. Like I started discovering something I I thought to be amazing at the time, and I still do. One day, I think I was still in kindergarten. I decided to play the keyboard on a show and tell they had at the kindergarten. It was for the kindergarten and the school associated with it. And I just decided to play some song I could practice, which interestingly, the song was Complicated by Avril Lavigne. So that was the song I played in front of the whole school, the whole kindergarten. And I remember that being amazing. I remember the feeling I had. I think it was at that point that I just went like, yeah, this is what I like. This is what I love. After the show and tell, I started to look into more and more mostly classical music. For I was still not interested in popular music. Though, like I said, since the song was Complicated by Avril Lavigne, I did start to listen to some of her songs. I remember loving Alice, and no, that came out after. But there's some earlier songs like Girlfriend. That's not earlier than complicated. Okay, some other Avril songs, basically. And that was about it for me in popular music at the time. But I started to look more into like classical music, Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, e- classical music. However, at some point after that, I think it was about a year or two after my show and tell, my aunt had to sell the keyboard because, as you know, money is just about everything, but that's not what I'm gonna talk about here. um, and I was kind of sad at the time because I really enjoyed playing that keyboard. So what I thought was, what if I start looking for more music just to listen to, at least for the time being, until I get some other instrument to play. Because I already had a love for playing instruments, but without the keyboard, I needed some other way to interact with music. I think the first musician I started listening to, besides Avril, popular musician is what I mean to say, was Michael Jackson. I really enjoyed listening to Michael Jackson at the time. That was around the time of his death. He died a bit. Yeah, it was around that time. I started listening to a lot of Michael Jackson, and I found his music amazing. And I just feel like, okay, I can give this a try. This is nice. As I looked into more music artists, I kind of dropped the classical music fixation I had when I started finding different artists. I started finding some rock music, some hip hop, some pop, some other kinds of music, popular music, and I just felt like, okay, maybe classical music isn't exactly for me anymore, at least. So I was excited to see what I could find. So I kind of went on a, what do you call it? Like kind of went in a hole, a wormhole, you could say. Not a wormhole, but I started reading a lot about the history of music and about all the types of music that there could be, and I was fascinated. I mean, there's not another word I could say. I was just fascinated. Eventually, for some reason I don't exactly know, I started writing a bunch of notes on my cell phone with opinions and lists about music, about what is the music that I like the most, and I just started doing that. I I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. I just did a bunch of lists of like what are my favorite musicians in this genre and then in the other genres. So as I read more and more about music, I started getting a bigger interest in playing some instrument again. And then my birthday came. I think it was my 13th birthday or 12th. I don't remember exactly. And I got a guitar. I was so happy about it because I wanted to play the guitar. So I started playing it, and I do remember I learned like some songs on the first week. I was upset. I was just playing that all day. I remember that. At the same time, I was mostly focused on singing. Singing is what I was like the most, and I still do to this day. And so I started playing guitar and singing. I never really got too good at doing both consecutively. I tried. But as I was playing guitar and singing, I was around some people, and some people I knew from school, some people I knew early on in my life, basically. And one of them said I was singing good, I had a good singing voice, which I don't exactly agree with that, but sure, he said that at the time. And he was starting a band with some other people. So they eventually agreed to hire me as the vocalist for the band, or at least the project they were trying to do. Despite the band having lasted not much at all, I think I think not even a year, honestly, and we didn't rehearse much. However, I do remember loving the rehearsals. That was just an amazing experience for me. Singing with the other instruments, playing as they sing, that's just amazing. So I felt even more in love with the music. I developed even more of a fixation, you could say. I was still doing like writing my notes on my phone. Again, I don't know exactly why. I just had it. I liked it. I don't know. And I decided to I decided to make music the main point of my time, basically, of my life. To a point, of course. But what I'm trying to say is like it's it's the thing I love the most. It's the best feeling. Rehearsing with a band was the best feeling I remember having ever, honestly. I was gonna say like in a long time, but yeah, ever, honestly. That's the best feeling I've ever had. So, like I said, I fell in love even more with the music. Started reading more and writing more about music, and basically here I am now. I'm just a little music fan who just rants about music. At some point, I figured, why don't I just share my opinions every now and then? My opinions that I was sure it was just me who would think that. I was never good at interacting with anyone. And and I felt like if I shared it, people would just be like, "You're crazy, like funny. What are you doing? What are you thinking?" So around that time, I did have a Tumblr, so I decided to just share some opinions little by little on that website because why not? And I like that. I'm still here. I'm still on Tumblr. I'm on YouTube. I just like sharing my opinions and then having some discourse, some conversations about opinions on music. I just enjoy that. So I think at this point you kind of get an idea of what I'm trying to say this channel is about. It's just me letting my fixations out, basically. I have so many notes doing nothing there on my phone. Like I don't share them. Some of them are on Tumblr, but I get a bunch of thoughts about music. Whenever I'm listening to music, I just get thoughts and I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to share this with someone else and just have some conversation about this? I don't know, it's just an idea. And like I said, I was never good at interacting with people, but the idea of talking about music with others was just cool to me. So now I'm here. Hello.